Welcome back, everybody. I am Jay. He is Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. And today we're going to talk about the NFL Championship weekend. It's so exciting and sad all at the same time because we're coming close to the end of a NFL season. But you know me, Maddie. As soon as that ends, I'm right into the off season, so I'll keep myself occupied. How excited are you for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty hyped, to be perfectly honest. So I'll be watching the games in Cardiff, which is my home city, and we'll be getting really, really drunk. So it's going to be fantastic. And we'll be watching these games, but not to mention there's going to be some absolutely great football being played, and some weird matchups, some matchups that you wouldn't have necessarily thought were the teams that were going to match up at the start of this season for the NFC and AFC Championship game.
Well, we will start with the 49ers Rams, but I'm going to say I'm more interested to hear your take on the next game because I think I know where you're going to go, but I'm not sure. So that's one of those things I'm kind of excited to see. I had to think about this game a lot, and the more I thought about it, the more the answer became clear to me, and the answer's the Rams. Just because I know that 49ers defense is tough, but the Rams have a great defense too, and I'm always going to take the better quarterback when I feel like both teams have a good defense. And Deebo Samuel is a monster. Do not get me wrong, but you got Cooper Kupp on the other side. You got OBJ coming on. You got some tight ends that can play. The running game's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. Matt Stafford has done some boneheaded ass shit, but to me, he is a real top tier type quarterback. I'm maybe not top five, but top tier, good enough to get you to a Super Bowl. And with the teams left, I mean, I feel like the 49ers obviously have the worst quarterback of the four teams left. I mean, is there an argument on that? And that's what really scares me about the 49ers is if you don't play a perfect defensive game, a great special teams game, and control the clock, I don't see how you win it. So I feel like too much is stacked against the Niners, and this is the Rams for the taking.
Yeah, you've got to kind of remember that they possibly had the worst quarterback in all of the playoffs. I mean, Jalen Hurts maybe, but he can run. Oh yeah, Big Ben, obviously. Yeah. All right, he gets a free pass due to his greatness in other periods, but yeah, it's between Garoppolo, Tannehill, Hurts, and Big Ben. Like that's the level of quarterback that they've got in the NFC Championship game, and that does worry me. What worries me on the side of the Rams is the fact that you've already gotten beat by them when you had the chance to ice them. What were they, 17-0 up, and then last week, they're 27-3 up and let them back in the game and just managed to scrape past them. And I don't think the 49ers have got that in them again. I think it is a very special set of circumstances that overtook that game. Like the Rams were already in the playoffs. They're 17 points up. They take their foot off the pedal. A little bit. They start resting a few guys. Like people have got their eyes on the next game rather than thinking about this. And if you do that to the 49ers, like the Dallas Cowboys found out, like the Green Bay Packers found out, if you don't take them at face value and you're thinking of the next game because you think, oh, these guys will brush them aside, we're much better than them, that's when they'll beat you. But there's no thinking about that when you're in the NFC Championship game. All you're thinking about is winning the NFC Championship game because the next game is a Super Bowl. And you're just going to do everything you can to get there. Try and take me off the pitch when it's an NFC Championship games, even if there's a risk. Also, the San Francisco 49ers don't have Tom Brady. But the Rams have got turnover issues, man, and the 49ers will feed off that. And it's like, I think it'll be a closer game than people might think from just looking at it from the outside. I'm still gonna take the Rams. They're more talented. They've got the bigger playmakers in the bigger situations. But that turnover bug just freaks me out. When it's not Stafford, it's somebody else.
Yeah, those 3 fumbles, man, they were so uncharacteristic. I hope that was just a blip and not a trend. You know what I mean? Also, maybe I'm being a little bit of a homer on this, and I know people are like, what do you mean you're a Vikings fan? I want the 49ers to lose so the Vikings can hire DeMeco Ryan and we can just get this whole thing over with because the writing's on the wall. But I wouldn't be like mad if the 49ers won because like I got no skin in the game either way. But I will say part of me does want to see Matty Stafford get to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like prove all the haters wrong, kind of shed a light onto the dysfunction of Detroit because every time Matt Stafford had any kind of a bad game this year or did something wrong, instead of evaluating him like any other quarterback, they're like, see, he was the problem in Detroit. See, it wasn't just Detroit who was garbage. And it's like, man, me and you believe that Detroit really wasted a talent for all those years. So for him, I'd like to see him get to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, he's kicking the cobwebs off the Detroit Lions organization still. He's still got to shake that those ideas. You can see it when when he gets those turnovers, that's his field plays. That's him just laying one rip because that's what he would do in Detroit because he knows he's got to make those pinpoint throws. He's starting to dial that back for the Rams. He's definitely dialed it back during the playoffs for the Rams, and he's starting to control that urge because the turnovers weren't his fault last week. They're not on Stafford. And looking at them, I'm not really sure whether they're on Cam Akers as well. Like, obviously, protect the fucking ball, but great defensive play. That peanut punch is starting to really take effect in games. The Cowboys have done it a lot this year. The Colts have done it loads this year. And that Tampa Bay defensive line are an experienced bunch, and they know when and where to make those plays.
And that's part of what makes the whole Todd Bowles being out there for a head coach again a big deal because that defense did a lot. And don't get me wrong, their front four is massively talented. And they have a good linebacker, a good safety, but they're depleted in spots and they had a lot of injuries. And that coaching still kept them around and it kept them in that game. And like I said, that the fumbles to me were just such an odd thing. You don't expect to see that from the Rams. So I was kind of hoping it was just one of those bad games, chalk it up. You made it through. Probably won't happen again. But yeah, if you turn the ball over 3 times against the 49ers who run the ball, eat the clock, and play great defense, it's going to be a hard road to win. I just think the Rams will play smarter. I think McVay will have them ready. And at some point, you got to figure the talent on that Rams team is going to outshine the scheme on the 49ers offense.
And the way that they've got that defense playing as well, like outside of the points off turnovers and outside of one absolute bomb thrown to Mike Evans by Tom Brady, they played a perfect game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like there was nothing much more they could have done. Like if you're going to give them a short field every time, then what do you expect them to do? And if there's a team that can stop that San Francisco 49ers run, I believe it's a team that has the experience of Von Miller on the edge, the experience of Floyd on the other edge, and don't forget number 99 absolutely blowing people up in the middle. So I think they are kind of built to beat this 49ers team, even though the 49ers have beat them something ridiculous, like 4 or 5 straight games, something absolutely crazy like that. So they are their bogey team, but the NFC Championship games are a different kettle of fish. And let's not forget that the 49ers are suffering injuries. I don't care if Bosa's playing, if Wagner's playing. They're not 100%. They if this was regular season games, they'd be probably playing less reps. But because it's the playoffs, they're in the game. And them being in the game does make a big difference, but not as big of a difference as if they were healthy.
No, I agree. And I think we both kind of owe the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan an apology because we did not give them shit for credit this year. And there they are back in the NFC Championship game.
I still stand by that they don't deserve the credit in the regular season. I'm still going to stand next to that point of view because I know they made the playoffs. I know they did, but so did the Philadelphia Eagles, and I know it's in a different division, and so did the Pittsburgh Steelers. But fair play. Like they're a playoff-made team. If they can get to the playoffs, then they play fantastic playoff football. It's like what we would see out of the Titans. They play that if we get the ball, you're not getting it back for 8 to 10 minutes. Like you will not be getting this ball back, and that's the kind of thing you want in a playoff game. Imagine if the Bills had that for Patrick Mahomes last week, that they'd be in the AFC playoff game if they were just able to say, yeah, you're not seeing this ball for the next 10 minutes. So good luck winning this game. And the 49ers can do that. And they weren't special in the regular season, but in the postseason where it matters, that's where their great coaching, their great run game comes out to play. And you've got to feel weird about the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, as we've spoken about in some of our other videos as well. You've got to feel strange about that.
Yeah, I have this odd suspicion, Maddie, that at some point in the near future, we're going to have no choice but to talk about quarterback carousel in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. And like, are you almost thinking, like, if you're thinking long term, like, obviously you're not thinking this, you want to get to a Super Bowl, but long term, you may be thinking, God, I hope if we get beat, I hope Jimmy G has a really shit game. You know, like, if we get beat, I hope Jimmy G's the reason so that we can move on and see if Trey Lance has got what he's doing. Because, like, no offense to Jimmy G, they're winning in spite of Jimmy G. Like, he's not got a lot to do with their wins. Like, he has been clutch in a few games and let some of that Tom Brady stuff rub off on him. But how special can you be with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback?
I actually seen a couple of those clowns at ESPN today say that they should sit Jimmy G and start Trey Lance in the NFC Championship game. And I'm like, wait, I don't even care if this kid is more talented. Let's just throw him to the Wolves in the NFC Championship game against that defense. That's a really dumb idea. But I think Jimmy G's this odd thing because if you trade him, what do you get for him? If he gets you to a Super Bowl, and what if he wins you a Super Bowl? Can you even trade him then? It's weird. And only they know what's going on with Trey Lance in practice. Like, are they seeing young Aaron Rodgers or are they seeing young Danny Dimes at practice? You know what I mean? I don't know what they're seeing. But obviously, like, if you go back to the Vikings, they didn't see enough in Kellen Mond this year to throw him out there in those last games. So I'm just saying, like, if you're going to start Sean Mannion, you obviously didn't see enough in this young kid yet. It doesn't mean he won't get there, but we don't know what Trey Lance is doing in practice even.
Yeah, I think that's a difficult comparison because Zimmer was trying to save his job. So he's kind of gone, oh, this guy won't lose us the game, but if Mon goes out there and throws 5 picks, then I'm fucked. And it turned out he was fucked anyway. But yeah, it doesn't really matter.
I don't want to get too far off topic, and I agree with you, but I think that's a stupid way of thinking. I think he should have looked at it as, if I put this young kid out there and he balls out, this might save my job because we have the future.
Yeah, 100%. And I just don't see the point in starting Trey Lance in a NFC Championship game against one of the most star-studded defenses that's ever been assembled. Like, why? What do you gain? Like, you gain a little bit of mobility. Well, just fucking throw the ball. Right. The 49ers game plan is run the ball, and then get Deebo Samuels open and just make him do something.
Kittle.
Yeah. George Kittle will make a big play. He's not been as great as in that season when they went to the Super Bowl last, but Deebo Samuels is the guy that they'll drop him off and they'll just say, there you go, Deebo, go make 10 yards to keep this drive going. Because that first down play that he made against the Green Bay Packers when he was caught way short of the first down, that is an incredible play. That is what has got them there. And Deebo Samuels is the player that has got them there. He was the only player that did anything really against the Dallas Cowboys as well. Like, he's their secret weapon. So do you need Trey Lance to operate Deebo Samuels? No, not really.
Yeah, and I trust Jimmy G not to make as many mistakes as a rookie would, and Jimmy G's been there before. So, like, the moment's not too big. And as you said, Deebo Samuels, they're not so secret weapon that nobody can still even stop, even though they know 40, 50, 60% of the offense is going through Deebo, and they're still – that dude's amazing. I just – like, he is, because he's an offensive weapon. I can't even call him just a receiver.
Yeah. I mean, the Rams have got some fantastic weapons as well. Let's not forget. And OBJ is coming up big recently in big spots. OBJ is their go-to guy in those big spots. Cooper Kupp is their go-to guy because he's just wide open whenever he wants to be. And they do have a running game. I know they turned over the ball a couple of times, but like, I would still lean on that running game if I was them because you need it. You just like run the ball 30 times. Just run it 30 times and just see what you get.
Well, I think that was some pretty good coverage on that first game. And before we get to the next game, the AFC Championship, we have a message to you from some of our friends over at OTH.
What up, y'all? This your boy Cuzzo, host of the Chronicles podcast and also the host of Overtime Reactions. And let me tell y'all something, man. Y'all make sure to go check out Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. Them guys are knowledgeable. They have good content. Go support them, man. Go check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and definitely tune in to MMA Underground Weekly, man, where they have guests, great commentary, let you know about upcoming events, promotional material, all that, man. Go check them out. Yankee and the Brit, what up? Salute from your boy Cuzzo. Holla.
So make sure you give some support to Overtime Hustling Magazine, guys. They've
Oh,
got
God.
a lot of great stuff.
Praise makes me feel so awkward and horrible. Such a British thing, like praise. But thank you so much, Cuzzo, man, and you do some great work over at Overtime Hustling. So make sure you guys go check that out. They've started to bring out a lot of fantastic content when it comes to podcasts, and some. If you guys watch us for the street beefs as well as the football, then that's the place to go to get your extra fill of street beefs after watching our videos as well. And now onto our bread and butter. Back to football. Some AFC Championship football. The Chiefs going against everybody's favorite Cincinnati Bengals. Who have you got, Jay?
No, I'm waiting for you. I got to hear this.
I'm trying to talk myself out of my pick. Yeah. So obviously, we all know since the very start of the season, I've loved the Cincinnati Bengals, apart from their offensive line. And I think their offensive line is what's going to cost them in this game. I think if they had a solid offensive line, I'd feel a lot better about going for them. But the Chiefs bring the heat when they want to, and they can cover in the backfield as well. I mean, can you really cover Jamar Chase? I don't know. But Joe Burrow got sacked the most time of any playoff quarterback and still managed to win a game last week. He won't be able to do the same against the Chiefs due to the pure fact that, yeah, cool, you can score points when you're getting sacked. You can't score as many points as Patrick Mahomes as when you're getting sacked. And their defense does not hold up as well as you would like. I think it was almost like the Buffalo Bills game was more of an AFC Championship matchup. The Bengals are 1 or 2 years too short. They're 1 or 2 years too far ahead in their rebuild for me. They've been very impressive to get to where they are. They just need 1 or 2 more years, I think, to be able to compete with the likes of the Chiefs and the Bills and those kind of teams.
Well, Maddie, you know what you just did? I call that real talk. Yeah, some shameless plug in the middle of the show. No, I think it's the Chiefs. I didn't know where you were going to go because I know that you like the Bengals. I know you had your head deep in some research this week. So I didn't know if you pulled out some like morsels that gave you more confidence on the Bengals for some reason.
The more research I did, the more it talked me out of it.
Okay.
And I think that's what's been happening with my picks. I've been going with my gut a lot this year, when the year before I was a heavy research guy due to having more time on my hands and talking myself out of those gut picks. And it turned out really well. Obviously, I'm going to make this known. I want to be wrong. I'm going to be cheering for the Bengals when this game's going ahead. I want to see Joe Burrow in a Super Bowl game. I want to see Joe Burrow with his championships of the AFC jerseys on, smoking a big fat cigar in the changing rooms. I want Joe Burrow to win this game. I just don't think they're going to, due to the fact that Patrick Mahomes is just playing out of this world crazy good during this playoff run that they've got themselves going on. And if they had an offensive line that could protect Joe Burrow, I think he could go toe-to-toe with them. But they don't have that, and he's going to find himself running for his life in the backfield, and that's not where you want to be when you're trying to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I don't like the fact that we both picked the same people in both games, but I will say, unlike you, I will be cheering for my homeboy, Patrick Mahomes, to take himself to another Super Bowl. I want to see a Stafford Mahomes Super Bowl.
Do you not think though, like Burrow and Stafford just give that energy? You know, like they both have very similar, like, we're the fucking dudes in this room. Fuck you. Whereas like Patrick Mahomes is, I'm not saying they're not nice guys. They're really, really nice guys. But Patrick Mahomes is like salt of the earth, good dude, humble, even though he's like the best quarterback on the planet, already a Hall of Famer. and he's
Well,
and he's only been in the league for 4 years. I mean, you know.
it's good that he's that way because his fiance and his brother do him no fucking favors in the public eye at all. But
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
want
know,
to see
man.
Jackson Mahomes at the Super Bowl either. Actually that's given me another fucking reason to cheer for the Bengals. I don't want to see Jackson Mahomes anywhere near the Lombardi Trophy.
For me, it's just I'm a guy. I like greatness. Like I've never been a Tom Brady hater. I'm always cheering outside of the Vikings for Brady to win a ring. Like I never cheered for the Patriots, but if they made the Super Bowl, I cheered for the Patriots because of Brady, if that makes sense. Like so last year wasn't really cheering for the Bucks, but when they made the Super Bowl, I'm like, okay, now I got to cheer for the Bucks because Brady, I want him to just chalk up those rings. I think Mahomes is the greatest like young quarterback right now. Let's get him in there. And I also believe that maybe part of the reason I want him to go this year is because I think the AFC is just going to get harder and harder with those young, good quarterbacks. And I feel like there you go, Patrick. Get you one more right now before the road gets real rough because you got Burrow, you got Herbert. Maybe Aaron Rodgers ends up in the AFC. I mean, like, there is young, good quarterbacks. You got Lamar. So it's going to be rough in the AFC moving forward.
Yeah, the AFC have taken all the good quarterbacks in this league. Like, name an elite quarterback
Josh
in
Allen,
the
forgot
NFC.
him too. Sorry.
Yeah, name an elite quarterback in the NFC that is under the age of 37.
I can give you one who's gonna be, but he ain't there yet, and that's Deshaun Watson. But yeah, like I mean, if I went through every team, maybe I find somebody, but off the top of my head, nobody just jumps out. You know what I mean?
Stafford is the only, and he makes too many mistakes to be considered. Like Stafford needs to show he can go a run without making loads of mistakes, and I think he's showing it. Me and you are both Stafford fans. It's just ridiculous. And then you run through. And there are more elite quarterbacks in the AFC West than there are in the NFC when you take away Rodgers and Brady. So you have Mahomes.
Depending how many you put in the top tier of the NFC, you're throwing guys like Cousins and Dak top tier in the NFC. Not that they're horrible, and I'm not even shitting on him. And I know people think I just shit on Dak, and I don't think he is a horrible quarterback at all. I just think he's fucking really overpaid, like Kirk Cousins, very overpaid. And that's where my issue comes. But you're right. I mean, I could go through and probably find a couple, but just off the top of my head, when you said that, I'm like, that's a good question.
It's like Kyler Murray, but he's not shown it towards the end of the season. Like it's not the same. They're not the same. The fact that we're having to scramble and make excuses for people like Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford when all you do is look over there and you see Justin Herbert. Undoubtedly, he's great. It's the LA Chargers that are the dysfunctional team. You look at Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and possibly the greatest divisional round game of all time. Burrow carrying a franchise that has no indoor training facility to the AFC Championship game. Like that's 4 already, and there's many, many more as well.
Yeah, like
Lamar
you minus
Jackson,
injuries.
like...
There's Lamar. You minus the what's going on with Deshaun. He's still in the AFC. Like, yeah, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC, and unless there's a big musical chairs, which could happen, I don't know how the NFC evens it out in the near future because sure, there's always guys who are going to shock us. Malik's going to come out in the first round as a quarterback, and I think he can play. There's a couple other guys. The dude from Pitt, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. These guys might be able to, but they're not surefire like a lot of like Herbert came out and people were like, damn, right away. You know what I mean? And I don't know how the NFC makes up for it. So I feel like the NFC almost has to go back to, we're just going to run the ball and play some defense to keep up with these AFC teams to slow them down.
Yeah, which is where the 49ers have gone and why they're so dangerous. And it's not a bad, like, it's a fantastic way to play football. Like, a lot of people have got Super Bowl rings from playing that style of football. And like, just to finish off that point, and then we'll get back to the Chiefs Bengals. But if Derek Carr was in the NFC, he'd possibly be a top 5 quarterback in his conference, and he's only the 3rd best quarterback in his division in the AFC. Like,
no, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
So
it's surreal.
What do you think the Bengals have to do to win this game? Like, what do you think the key is?
Joe Mixon runs for 150 yards and Jamar Chase goes absolutely insane. That's like, that has to be it. Like, you have to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. It's probably more than 150 yards that Mixon has to go for. The O-line needs to just hold up, not give up. Like, don't give up more than 5 sacks or something like that. Like, like, set the bar low, but make sure you just try and hold up as best you can. Get the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands as quick, but then that completely nullifies the point of their offense. So it's to run their offense, they need a good offensive line, and they've been overcoming it all year, but they're not going to overcome that. And they can overcome it offensively. They can score points still without that, but they're not going to be able to sustain drives and score as many points as you need when you've got Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the pitch, when you've got Josh Allen on the other side of the pitch, when you've got the Rams with Matthew Stafford. Like, they can't sustain that if you can't keep Joe Burrow upright.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to say is it boils down to a very simple but not easy combination of what you have to do. 2 or less sacks, and don't give up any big plays over the top on defense. But that's so much easier said than done with the offensive line the Bengals have and with the offensive weapons the Chiefs have.
Yeah, like, don't give up any sacks. Like, don't turn the ball over. That's like, go for it on 4th down. Like, only score 7s. Like, there's no point. There's no point in scoring 3s. Like, I
hate
know
that. The Bills would have won if they wouldn't have believed that stupid philosophy. I hate that. Take the fucking points in the first half. Just take them. But I know people disagree with me.
Yeah. Take the points in the first half, depending on the game situation. But you know that Patrick Mahomes is going to come out and just blitz it in the middle, like at some point in this playoff run. You know that's going to happen. So you've got to take, when the 7 points are on offer, you've got to take the 7. Obviously, if you're 4th and, I would say if you're 4th and 5 at about the 30 or 40 yard line, and you're kicking somewhere near midfield, take the points, accumulate points, make sure you stay in the game. But as soon as you get in the red zone, do not leave that spot without 7 points. That's where I'm kind of at with it.
I feel like if you can leave this game to where this rookie kicker for the Bengals can get a shot, this dude is cold-blooded. He's a rookie. He walks out in the huddle, looks at everybody and says, looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game, and then kicks a game winner. This dude's got ice water in his veins, and I'm impressed with this young kicker.
I mean, it's like Burrow and McPherson run the spirit of this team, and who thought the field goal kicker would run the spirit of the team? It's kind of like Pat McAfee was the spirit of the Colts. Like, he was because you have a punter who's such a fucking badass like McAfee, then the rest of your team has to kind of step up. Like, a linebacker sees your punter sticking a hit like that down the sidelines. If the linebacker can't hit that hard, they shouldn't be doing the job. The punter, because the punter can do their job better by the looks of it. So you've got to hit harder than the punter. And the same can be said for McPherson in the field goal kicking. I'm sure he hits hard as well, but that's beside the point. But to have that level of confidence, that's going to go through the whole team. And when Burrow's your quarterback as well, that's going to go through the whole team even more. And it kind of sums up the culture of this Bengals team. And I think they can win. I just think the Chiefs would have to play poorly for them to win. I don't think the Bengals can win this game on their talent alone.
Hey, Maddie, I never thought we would be praising a kicker, but I guess with our teams, we had to hold our breath at times with our kicker out there. So we appreciate a good young kicker.
If the Dallas Cowboys had McPherson, they would still be in the playoffs now. Like honestly, all right, bit of an over-exaggeration because of how fucking shit our clock and time management is. But there's a much better chance we would be, because we would have been like, what was it? Zerline missed 14 points in a combined 7 games. In our combined losses, he missed 14 points. We lost those games. When you combine all of the points of those games together in our losses, we lost those games by 7 points. And he missed 14 during those games. So I'm not saying it would have changed all the games, but it would have changed enough to make a big difference in the seeding and things like that, and all of that kind of stuff. But the kicker matters. We've spoken about it on this show. We had a really weird like 10-minute detour about punters and field goal kickers. And we've been proved right. We've been proved right in this playoffs by this rookie, McPherson.
Hey, guys, kickers are people too. All right. Well, Maddie, you and I have both picked a Rams-Chiefs Super Bowl, which absolutely guarantees it'll be a 49er Bengals Super Bowl.
100%.
Well, guys, there you have it. Keep your eyes open. Let us know what you think below. Who do you got going to the Super Bowl and why? And make sure you check out MMA Underground every Wednesday. Next week, we'll be dropping the first Marked Out podcast. And go over and check out our boys at Overtime Hustling Magazine. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.